Hey everybody, Daniel from Spacedock here, back from Star Wars Celebration in Chicago, and you may have noticed we got several trailers in the last week, bringing us lots of awesome Star Wars content that we can expect in the next year or so. First up, I want to go through the Episode 9 Rise of Skywalker trailer to point out some little interesting ship-related points that I've noticed. Not a huge amount of ship content in this trailer, but some interesting stuff that I think is worth talking about. So first up, of course, we have Rey's awesome backflip over the TIE silencer, but is this a TIE silencer? That's the question. It seems to be, but if it is Kylo Ren's silencer, the same ship that he used in The Last Jedi, then there has at least been quite a lot of modification going on. You'll note that the central cockpit of this ship is more in keeping with the TIE Advanced or a classic TIE fighter. It's more spherical with the standard canopy rather than the kind of rectangular lozenge shape that the silencer in The Last Jedi had. I don't know whether this ship has the same aft engines as the TIE silencer in The Last Jedi, or if that's also been modified to give it the more standard ion engine look that is generally in keeping with that classic TIE fighter fuselage. The rest of the ship looks largely the same, although it's also been repainted with some red stripes, potentially to indicate Kylo's status as the new supreme leader of the First Order. The only other thing I'd like to point out here is clearly nobody told Kylo Ren that this ship has weapons on it. I think it would have been quite amusing if we'd had all of this long build-up towards Rey's slow-motion flip, and then when Kylo reaches about 100 yards, he just fires a proton torpedo and blows it to bits. Of course, that would be a far less heroic moment for Rey, but potentially a little bit more of a realistic depiction of how this ship should be used. I'm not sure running down somebody who has a lightsaber in your fighter is ever a good idea. Even if he had successfully ran her over, he'd presumably still get his ship torn to bits by the lightsaber. So not sure what he was thinking there, but it was very, very dramatic and a great sequence for the trailer. Next up, we have this shot of a ship doing a flyby through some mountains, seemingly intending to land in this sort of fog-bound city. Now, initially I thought this was an A-wing. It looks a lot like an A-wing from behind, but on closer inspection it looks a little too large, and some people on Twitter have keenly noticed that this has quite a lot in common with the ship that dropped the orphan Rey off on Jakku in her flashback in The Force Awakens. Would certainly be very interesting if that ship were to show up. I've always thought that ship looked rather fancy for the sort of nobody parents that she's meant to have, buried in a pauper's grave or whatever. It seems odd that they would have access to a rather fancy looking ship unless it's public transport. But if you look closely in this picture, you can see similar kind of fins to that ship that dropped Rey off, and the spacing of the engines doesn't quite match the A-wing perfectly. But then again, it could be neither of those things and an entirely new ship. We just don't know at this stage. And of course, later in the trailer, we get to see Lando in the Falcon. If you look closely, you can see that the Falcon's circular satellite dish is back after the rectangular one was blown off in the crate tunnel sequence in The Last Jedi. This is presumably not the same dish from the original trilogy unless they went to extremely painstaking efforts to recover it from the destroyed Death Star. It's probably just another stock YT-1300 dish or another random circular dish they found somewhere. Either way, this is an interesting little detail and a great excuse for Lucasfilm to sell a mountain of very slightly different Millennium Falcon toys. Now here is the thing I'm probably most interested in this trailer. If you look at this shot of this RZ-2 A-Wing crashing in a pirouette of flame and look closely at the background, you can see the outline of an Imperial 1 class Star Destroyer. Eckhart's Ladder on Twitter did a good job of finding very clear frames of this. You can see the kind of horizontal tractor beam array between the sensor domes that indicates it's Imperial 1 class. It's obviously very close to this A-Wing, and if you look very closely as the A-Wing goes past, you can see red stripes painted down the sides of them. Now, I have no idea what this is. If it's a hostile ship to this A-Wing, then the A-Wing is very close to it. Perhaps it was destroyed in an attempt to attack it. They're both oriented in the same direction. They could be fighting on the same side. If they are, I think it would be interesting if this red stripe denoted that this was a New Republic ship. In Legends, the New Republic very frequently commandeered old Imperial warships and repainted them. If this is the case, then this would be really cool. There's no huge evidence for it in this trailer, but I would really appreciate a big space battle in this final film. There's been very little space combat in this sequel trilogy, sadly. Lots of atmospheric stuff, but not too much in the way of great space battles, and it would be really nice to see a New Republic fleet show up, which is, I hope, what this is. And of course, here we can see the wreckage of what is presumably the Death Star 2 on what is presumably Endor. This obviously plays into the whole Palpatine is in some way alive, or his spirit is alive, or something story that we've got going on here. And also it plays into some concept art that was originally released for The Force Awakens of a cancelled idea to have the characters swimming through submerged wreckage of the Death Star and through the Emperor's throne room and such. So perhaps we'll get sequences like that in this film. That would be very cool. Can't really fathom exactly why they are going here at this point. Perhaps Kylo is after something to do with the Emperor Emperor. Really don't have enough information about the plot to make any kind of assertion as to why they would head to this wreckage just yet. But either way, it's a cool little touchstone with the original trilogy. I'm not sure if anybody has bothered to do this, but I guess maybe if you really tried, you could use the diameter of that super laser dish to work out for certain whether this is the Death Star 2 or the Death Star 1, because of course the Death Star 2 is drastically larger. I'm not going to do that because I have better things to do, but if anybody wants to sit in a dark room and calculate the dimensions of a fictional satellite dish for several days, then please do let me know. Tweet at SpacedockHQ with anything you find out. And that's just about it for ships in the Rise of Skywalker trailer. There's some other stuff in other trailers for The Mandalorian and Clone Wars that I'm going to be talking about soon. But overall, I think we've got a few little interesting points in the ship sphere for this trailer. I hope we get more in future trailers and in the film itself. As this is the last opportunity in the sequel trilogy to do this, I really hope we do get a whole bunch of proper warship designs and fighter designs and a proper space battle Endor style to really cap off this trilogy and give us all of the ship stuff that we've only got little bits of so far in this trilogy. Excited to find out more. Thank you all for watching. This is Daniel from Spacedock, signing off. Thank you for watching Spacedock. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please do check out the links on the screen right now or in the description below for our Patreon and channel membership services. Anything you can pledge goes towards improving our team and our equipment and allowing us to put together bigger and more exciting video projects for you guys on the channel.